I'm Elijah, a 30-year-old security guard at Walmart in Texas. Working the night shift, I've seen my fair share of strange things. Shoplifters, rowdy teenagers, and the occasional lost child. But nothing could prepare me for what happened that night. It was around midnight, and I was monitoring the cameras from the security room. The store was quiet, with just a few late-night shoppers. As I scanned the screens, something caught my eye. A man in the toy aisle, acting very strangely. He was crouched down, whispering to a doll, and rocking back and forth. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but his behavior sent a chill down my spine. Who whispers to a doll in the middle of the night? I decided to approach him. Leaving the security room, I walked through the store towards the toy section. The closer I got, the more uneasy I felt. The man didn't notice me at first. He was too engrossed in his conversation with the doll. When I finally reached him, I cleared my throat. "Sir, is everything okay?" I asked. He looked up at me with wild eyes, mumbled something unintelligible, and then bolted. He ran faster than I expected, leaving the doll behind. I called for backup, but by the time we searched the store, he was gone. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. I returned to the toy aisle and picked up the doll. That's when I noticed a note attached to it. My heart raced as I read the chilling message. "I'm watching your children." Why would someone leave such a note? What did it mean? We called the police immediately. They arrived quickly and took the note and the doll as evidence. They asked me several questions, but I could only tell them what I saw. The man's face was etched into my memory, but I had never seen him before. "Have you seen this man before?" the officer asked. "No, never," I replied. The police launched an investigation and discovered that the man was a wanted criminal with a history of stalking. The thought that someone like that had been in our store made my skin crawl. I couldn't stop thinking about it. What if he had been watching someone's children? What if he had been planning something more sinister? For the next few nights, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his wild eyes staring back at me. I kept replaying the encounter in my head, wondering if there was something I could have done differently. Could I have caught him? Could I have prevented him from escaping? The store felt different after that. Every shadow seemed threatening, every late-night shopper a potential danger. I started to question the safety of the place where I worked. If someone like him could get in and out so easily, what did that mean for the rest of us? For the children who came in with their parents? I still work at Walmart, but I'm more vigilant now. I watch the cameras more closely, patrol the aisles more frequently. The memory of that night lingers, a constant reminder of the danger that can lurk in the most unexpected places. It's a disturbing thought, but it's one I can't shake. Why do people do such things? What drives someone to terrorize others? These questions haunt me, but I know one thing for sure. I'll never forget that man's face, and I'll always be on the lookout for anything out of the ordinary. Because in my line of work, you never know what's lurking just around the corner. My name is Wyatt. I'm 35, and I work as a janitor at a Walmart in New York. I've been working the late shift for years, and while it's not the most exciting job, it pays the bills. Usually my nights are quiet, but one night, things took a dark turn. It was around 2 a.m., and I was taking out the trash. The parking lot was mostly empty, except for a few cars left by employees. As I wheeled the trash bin to the dumpster, I noticed a figure darting between the cars. I stopped and squinted into the darkness, trying to get a better look. "Who's out there?" I called out, but there was no answer. I shrugged it off, thinking it was just a late-night shopper or maybe someone cutting through the lot. I finished my task and headed back inside. The rest of my shift was uneventful, but the sight of that figure lingered in my mind. The next night, I went about my usual routine. As I was cleaning the employee locker room, I found a note stuck to the inside of my locker. It read, "I'm watching you, Wyatt." My heart skipped a beat. Who would leave something like this? I looked around, but the locker room was empty. Is this some kind of joke? I muttered to myself. I crumpled the note and tossed it in the trash, trying to shake off the unease. But over the next few days, more notes appeared. Each one was more threatening than the last. I know where you live. You're never alone. I'll be seeing you soon. How did they know these things about me? Who was doing this? I reported the notes to my manager, who called the police. They came and took the notes as evidence, asking me a series of questions, but without any clear suspects, there wasn't much they could do. Do you have any enemies at work? One of the officers asked. No, I get along with everyone, I replied, feeling a chill run down my spine. The notes continued to appear, and I started to feel paranoid. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. Every time I turned a corner, I expected to see the figure from the parking lot. I started looking at my coworkers differently, wondering if one of them was the culprit. One night, while cleaning the aisles, I heard footsteps behind me. I spun around, but no one was there. My heart raced, and I broke out in a cold sweat. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to find out who was behind this. Why are they doing this to me? I whispered to myself. The next night, I decided to confront whoever was leaving the notes. I hid in the locker room, waiting for them to show up. Hours passed, and I was about to give up when I heard the door creak open. A figure slipped inside, heading straight for my locker. Got you, I shouted, flipping on the light. To my shock, it was Sam, another janitor I worked with every night. He looked at me with wild eyes, holding another note. Why, Sam? Why are you doing this? I demanded. He didn't answer. Instead, he lunged at me, but I managed to dodge and pin him to the ground. The police arrived quickly, and Sam was arrested. They found more notes in his locker, along with disturbing photos of me taken without my knowledge. Sam had developed an obsession with me. He knew my schedule, my habits, and had been watching me for weeks. The realization that I had been working alongside my stalker every night was a chilling reminder of how close danger can be. Even now, I can't shake the feeling of being watched. I still work at Walmart, but I'm always looking over my shoulder, haunted by the memory of Sam and his twisted obsession. My name is Aiden, and I'm 28 years old. I work as a cashier at a Walmart in Florida. You'd think the most stressful part of my job would be dealing with long lines and impatient customers. But that all changed a few months ago. It started with small things. Marie, the cheerful lady who stocked the shelves, began to look pale and tired. Then Tom, the guy who always joked around in the electronics section, called in sick with a high fever. One by one, my coworkers were falling ill. At first, we thought it was just a bad flu season, but the symptoms were too severe. Why were so many of us getting sick? Why weren't the doctors able to figure it out? When I began feeling the same symptoms, nausea, dizziness, intense fatigue, I knew something wasn't right. I decided to investigate. We all shared the same break room, and I started paying closer attention to what we all used frequently. The water cooler caught my eye. Could it be the source? I collected a sample from the cooler and took it to a friend who worked in a lab. When the results came back, my blood ran cold. The water was contaminated with a dangerous chemical. How did this happen? Who would do something so malicious? I reported my findings to the store manager, and soon a full investigation was underway. Security footage was reviewed, and that's when we saw him. An ex-employee named Derek. Derek had been fired a few months back for stealing. Could he really be behind this? The police were called, and Derek was brought in for questioning. It turns out he was harboring a grudge against the store for firing him. He had somehow gained access to the break room and tampered with the water cooler, poisoning it. Why would someone take their anger out in such a cruel way? The revelation left us all shocked and terrified. Derek was arrested, but the damage was done. We were all left wondering about the long-term effects of the chemical exposure. Would we ever fully recover? The break room became a place of unease, We couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal and fear. Every sip of water felt like a gamble. And the camaraderie we once shared was replaced with a lingering sense of distrust. How do you move on from something like this? Even now, as I work my shifts, I can't help but glance at the water cooler with suspicion. It's a reminder of how quickly normal can turn into a nightmare, and how sometimes the real horror lies in the actions of those we thought we knew.